You're listening to Nicksology on ESPN 1700. Buckle up as anything goes and having fun is the only rule we have. Now here's your host, Nick Apostolopoulos.
All right. Welcome to Nicksology, everybody. Happy New Year. As this is our first show of the year, thanks to some crazy goings-on the last 2 weeks. As the man said, I'm your host, Nick Apostolopoulos, proprietor of 619 Vodka. You can follow the show online at Nicksology.com or Facebook.com/Nicksology. And on Twitter and Pinterest. Twitter and Instagram. We don't have a Pinterest account. Twitter and Instagram, Nicksology SD. And I'm pretty sure there's not a live stream today because anything that could go wrong is going wrong today. But that's all right. We're still, I'm relearning how to do the show after 3 weeks off, so we'll get there. We have a cool show today, though. We've got Dan from Arcana Brewing in here, and we'll be getting to some beers a little later. And then we've also got Josh and Shawn from the 33 Club, right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. We're starting off. I got to be honest. We've been pre-drinking, which is the best way to start this show. And so we're drinking. Tell us about the cocktail we're drinking right now.
So the cocktail is called the Black's Beach, and it's actually a creation from Mark Broadfoot at Galaxy Taco, who we're partnering with this month. But it is a mezcal cold brew concoction, and so kind of a nice blend between the oakiness of the mezcal and a phenomenal cold brew from Dark Horse, actually, in North Park.
Oh, nice. Dark Horse, yeah. They're actually working with Ray from Kill Devil on a product, too. It's a small little town, this thing is.
It really is.
Yeah. So, all right, so let me back up, because I didn't do a very good job of introing. So Josh and Shawn are from 33 Club, which is the coolest thing I think I've ever heard of, and I'm really jealous I didn't think of it. But it's basically, and I'm going to probably butcher this so you guys can fill in the backstory, but it's basically a cocktail of the month club, right? You sign up, and then you guys go out and curate these awesome cocktails with local bartenders and local, not necessarily always local spirits, but cool, different spirits. And then a box gets shipped to my house, and I break it open, and I make some amazing cocktails like this one right here, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We basically do all the legwork for you.
Right. That's awesome. And then, so how long have you guys been around?
We've been sitting on the idea since probably February of 2015.
Okay.
Doing a lot of research into the heavily regulated industry. I'm sure you're
Right, exactly.
you're
Right.
pretty familiar with the ABC.
Yeah.
And we recently, just in November, shipped our first box.
Awesome. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's once a month, right?
Yep.
That they get the shipment. And then there's 2 cocktails in each box?
2 recipes.
Two
and
recipes.
A total of 4 cocktails.
Enough for 4 cocktails.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, how do you guys go about trying to figure out what's going to go in the box?
Honestly, we like basically going out and talk to the distilleries as well as the bartenders. Lately, it's been a lot of the bartenders that we work with, kind of reaching out and talking to them about their passions and going from there. And a lot of them just have phenomenal recipes that they work at home and usually don't see the light of day except to their friends. And we basically try to bribe them to, put them in our box.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And so, I mean, the cool part about this is, part of the idea behind the show is, and I may have said this to you guys off the air when I was talking to you, but I say it on the air too, is I love good cocktails. I love good craft cocktails, but I don't like the part of the industry that's so snooty that you can't figure out how to do this at home. You have to go to some underground dungeon where the guy's got suspenders and a mustache, and he's the only one that knows. And he shakes it exactly 372 times, and that's how you get 71. The right cocktail. Is it 370?
Yeah.
I never know. That's why they don't come out right when I do them at home. They're totally wrong when I do them at home. No, so I like that. This is a cool way to sort of demystify that whole thing and be able to get the cocktail and do it right at home. And so you guys ship everything in the box, right?
Correct. Everything comes in the box. Everything perfectly proportioned, really driving towards total of 4 cocktails. So if it's something you don't like that month, you don't have a bunch of extras just kind of sitting around.
Okay.
So we really want to make sure it's catered to exactly what you're looking for.
Right. And then so right now, obviously, you guys are local to SD. And so the cocktails are kind of you're working with local bartenders and local bars for that sort of thing. Tell us about though with what your plans are for the actual like spirits themselves. Obviously, I know you guys because we're working with 619 and you're working with other local bartenders. I mean, local distilleries and that kind of thing. You're obviously looking to branch out and try and go. Well, okay. First show back. I'm doing great, aren't I? I can't even figure out which direction I'm going. So even though we're at SD, this is available nationwide, right? To all the states you can legally ship alcohol to, which is most of them, I'm assuming, right?
25 states, so
Yeah.
it's perfect
It's only
timing.
25?
Yeah.
Yes. So with our partner...
Is it because it's spirits and not wine or beer?
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah. 25 states. That sucks.
It's a good start.
It's a good
3
start.
months in.
It's a good start. Right. So do you guys have accounts in all those states yet, or you're working on it, or?
We actually have a few subscribers in, I want to say, 10 of those states.
So this is the first month we're leaving San Diego, and we didn't advertise it. It was just whisperings to friends and family. So we were pretty excited to leave San Diego, and not just to a couple states, but to about 10 different states.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That's so cool. And so are you planning on trying to do anything where you do stuff regionally, where you go out and get cocktails? I mean, honestly, beers are a little different, right? There's sort of regionality to beers. I don't know if there's regionality to cocktails. Is there? I should know this being in the industry, and I don't.
There's cultures. Yeah,
Okay.
There's definitely cultures. You have a Boston culture, New York culture. They all have their little flares. One of our bartenders we paired with for December, Rin at Sycamore Din, she basically brought up, originally started in Boston and brought up saying, hey, it's different because out in the West Coast, they basically apply a lot of mixers into their drinks, their cocktails, where the East Coast, they have a very upfront, very formal spirit flavor that they really like.
Well, that makes sense. More like an old fashioned where it's just
Basically.
booze
Yep.
Direct.
in a glass.
Yeah.
I like that.
They don't mess around,
Right.
It's so cold, you just kind of...
Right. No, that totally makes sense. I mean, that's how I like drinking my drinks. So, well, that's cool. So, yeah, so you guys going to try and work regionally or do any things like that? And, I mean, it's kind of... Like I said, it's an awesome concept, and I wish I've thought of it, but there's also probably some limitations to the fact that you're only doing 2 cocktails a month, right? I mean, that's 24 a year. It'd be cool to even be able to do more than that, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're trying to add a lot of stuff onto our site, 33club.com, and we're trying to add more and more recipes basically up there. So we might not have only recipes in our box, but we're also putting up creative content up there. So for some of these that may be a little more complex to ship, it's like, hey, go to our website and
do it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And if enough people want it every other week, we wouldn't be opposed to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it every week, to be honest with you. if a box of booze showed up to my house once a week.
You mean the show?
Well, sure, wherever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a world I want to live in, if I can get a box once a week. So again, backtracking, because that's what I'm doing this whole show, apparently. One of the features we wanted to introduce this week, and you guys are kind of kicking it off for us, is a cocktail of the week. And so that's this one. And so after the show, when we post the quasi-missing video online, I'm going to also post the drink of the week up. But you guys have 2 cocktails going out this month, right?
Correct.
And so what's the other one that's going out?
The other one is called a San Diego Sour, and it's actually a twist on a Pisco Sour. Same Mark Broadfoot, same thing up at Galaxy Taco came up with this one. And instead of the Pisco, they actually use mezcal in it, as well as a dollop of guacamole.
Oh.
So a nice
What?
little twist. Yeah.
So you guys shipping avocado?
We are.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And a little spice packet.
Yeah.
No chips, though.
That's so cool. How much of a pain was that?
No comment.
That's cool. Wait, so the avocado goes into the drink? I kind of wish you'd made that one now, because I just want to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, so the avocado, the guacamole, right, just goes
Yep.
right into the drink?
Yeah. So basically guacamole and the egg white, dry shake that, and then you throw everything else in there. Agave nectar,
Okay.
mezcal.
That might be officially a cocktail that's a little too complicated for me to make at home. I'd be curious to
Unless
see.
you had our box.
Well, right, if I have your kit, though. But yeah, I guess that sounds intimidating to me. Guacamole in a drink. Okay, I've never heard of that. Do they serve that actually at the bar?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We have an event.
We might have to have a road trip and go try it. Oh, yeah, we have an event, too. Yeah, you have an event coming up. Where at?
Great question. At Galaxy Taco, the 31st of January, it's going to be a brunch event. So if either of these drinks sound appealing to you, make sure to come on down for a little education on mezcal and for the cocktails that Galaxy Taco is offering.
Cool. Okay, and where's Galaxy Taco located?
They're in La Jolla.
Okay, because the funny part is I have never heard of them, which I feel horrible about.
They're
are they
relatively
new?
young.
Okay.
Yeah, they're new. Yeah.
They opened in the summer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so when I hear Galaxy Taco, I'm thinking like, a little taco shop, but obviously they clearly have a cocktail bar. I mean,
Yeah, they have a fairly well-defined cocktail bar, and one thing that they're trying to develop even more is really go after the mezcals, because Mark it's his passion, and he's their GM right now, their bar manager, and he's just really trying to push. Let's use what we can.
okay.
And so the mezcal we're using this month is actually El Silencio, and they're going to be with us in the event. And so co-hosting it, I guess, with us. And so it should be entertaining. I mean, we'll have their rep out there. And I mean, mezcal's a new, I guess, breed. It's been around forever, but most people don't know about it. It's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to talk more about mezcal. But when I think about mezcal, what I think of is the growing up in college, there's a bottle of really funky liquor with a worm sitting in the bottom. Like, that's what mezcal was to me growing up. And then finally I started trying some, going, wow, this is really good spirit. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll break down mezcal too for those people who don't know about it. You're listening to Nicksology on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to Nicksology on ESPN 1700, brought to you by 619 Vodka, who reminds you to always drink responsibly. Find out more at 619vodka.com.
Hey, Mr. Credit here. If you ever catch me at happy hour, you'll probably catch me drinking a vodka martini. I don't always drink vodka, but when I do, I drink 619 Vodka because it's local vodka from right here in San Diego. I know the owner, and you can meet him too. Go to 619vodka.com and think 619 Vodka when you're out there having a good time. That's 619vodka.com. And of course, remember to always drink responsibly.
CS Keys here to tell you about San Diego's handcrafted ultra premium vodka, 619 Vodka. It's distilled and filtered 5 times, gluten-free, and made from 100% pure mountain spring water for a smooth, clean finish. It's a 2-time silver medal winner and a 2-time gold medal winner already in 2013. America's Finest City has America's Finest Vodka that everybody can experience. Just go to the website, 619vodka.com. If you know like I know, you better tell somebody.
As an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. So turn your mobile phone into a business phone system with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Make and receive business calls using our iPhone and Android apps. Get a new business number or keep your current one. Forward your calls to any phone and even get your voicemails transcribed. Join over 250,000 small businesses who stay connected with Grasshopper. See how it works at grasshopper.com, the entrepreneur's phone system.
Know what's always on my mind, kid? Safety. I live, eat, and breathe safety. When I wake up in the morning, I have a large cup of safety with 2 sugars and a dash of safety. Safety matters. Your safety, my safety, everybody's safety. That's why I love Grainger. Grainger has the products, services, and resources to help keep our facility safe and our people safer. Now pass me one of those safety donuts over there. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The State Party of Baja California is formed by citizens that fight daily for the progress, development, and well-being of their state. Working people that know, live, and feel the problems of Baja California. For the problems of Baja California, the solution is the State Party of Baja California. Join them. No one can stop them. State Party of Baja California. The home party.
All Triton fans can get logoed apparel and accessories any time of the day or night from anywhere in the world. With UC San Diego Athletics online merchandising partner, Advanced Online, you have access to over 800 products, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, polos, hats, and much, much more at UCSDTritonsGear.com. Show your colors now by logging on at UCSDTritonsGear.com. Great stuff for game day, working out, or gift giving. That's UCSDTritonsGear.com.
Science. It's what lets us decode the human genome. Technology is responsible for unmanned drones that help keep our nation safe. Engineering gives us the ability to build 100,000-ton aircraft carriers, while math helps us generate intelligence that's vital to national security. STEM. It's a large part of what makes the Navy the greatest force on Earth, and it could be a big part of your future as well. Learn more at Navy.com/STEM. Brought to you by America's Navy.
And now, back to Nicksology on ESPN 1700. Brought to you by 619 Vodka, who reminds you to always drink responsibly. Find out more at 619vodka.com.
All right, welcome back to Story Time with Josh and Shawn. I'm just kidding. Welcome back to Nicksology. We've got Josh and Shawn from 33 Club here, and Dan from Arcana Brewing, I can't wait to start trying some of your beers in a few minutes, dude. But during the break, I dubbed Josh and Shawn our official mezcal experts, because I want to go a little deeper into that. So first things first, let's talk about the actual the brand that we're using on this one. It's El Silencio. Is that what it's called?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And they're based out of LA, right? But I mean, obviously, all tequilas, mezcals, or whatever are made in Mexico.
Correct.
Okay. And so, do they have their own farm they source from? How do they do that? Do you know?
That's a great question.
We should have had him on. We will have him on the show. I know. We'll get him on the show. Okay. But yeah, so let's talk about mezcal and stuff. Because so here's the one thing I know about tequilas, and I know way more about tequilas than mezcals, is that tequilas obviously have to come from the blue agave, and there's a bunch of other kinds of agave that they can make mezcal from. But it has to come from the blue agave, and 100%. It doesn't have to be 100%, but if it's good tequila, it is. It has to be made down there, et cetera, et cetera. And the one kind of weird thing that I didn't think about until somebody told me we had a tequila guy in here is that it's the only spirit on the planet that's made from one ingredient, right? All the other ones are a mix of grains or this or that or the other. So it's kind of cool. But mezcal, so like I said before the break, to me, mezcal is this weird liquor that came with a funny label and a worm in the bottle. And, it was like a dare drink or whatever. But the world of mezcal really is changing, right? It's getting a lot more respect. And so why is that? Like, what made it not so cool before? And is it just that people are putting more time and effort into it now?
Well, it's kind of interesting you brought up the worm, because the whole aspect behind the worm was it's purely a marketing gimmick.
Right.
Like, that's the only reason they did it, was just try to get people to, grab a bottle going, okay, yeah, I dare you to drink this.
Right.
But I think now it's really branched out, and I think the craft cocktail kind of slow underground world has really pushed it,
right?
And brought it into the forefront, because you have so many phenomenal mixologists out there that are basically using it because they're very interested in it. And I think that's kind of why it's developed into where it is now. And
so what are the rules around it? Go ahead.
I was just piggybacking off that. It was kind of funny. You asked, are they putting more effort into it? And the answer is no. They've been putting as much effort into it as always.
Really?
And it's much more than all of the modernized spirits, for the most part, that have huge warehouses and machines.
Right.
They're still doing it old-fashioned with donkeys carrying the agave. They're smoking it underground for 8 to 10 days. And there's now much more of appreciation for craft.
Right.
619 Vodka is a craft distillery.
So I actually have a story about Tito's I want to get to later. But so did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
I gotta get to it later because I feel vindicated finally. But yeah, so you said something about the smoking underground part, because the thing that for me mezcals are hit and miss on is, and it's the same for me with scotches. I don't like smoky drinks. Like when I like scotch, I like Macallan because they don't use any peat at all. It's just good whiskey, right? Mm-hmm. But is that like one of the rules of mezcal, or is it just a thing? Like, does it have to go through that smoking process, that underground thing, or no?
No, it does not. No,
Okay.
there's a wide range of it. Actually, it's kind of interesting because it's almost like you can go throw a whiskey out there. Whiskey is such a broad spectrum of different types of whiskey. You have rye, you have scotch, you have so mezcal falls along the same lines. I mean, there's a lot of them that use completely different types of agave. I mean, I was down in Mexico a few months ago, and the guy was like, yeah, there's people who use wild agave only. And so they'll just go down the side of the road and start picking agave and go forward with it. So
Really?
It's
That's cool.
So it's pretty interesting, but definitely there's a lot more, I would say, distilleries that do mezcal, but there's a few that do it, and I guess bring it over here to the U.S. There's a lot of them down in Mexico, but
is mezcal? So is tequila still considered the more complicated spirit to make, or no?
Probably, yeah. I would say mainly just because the
rules,
guidelines behind it. Yeah, but I like the rule of thumb is all tequilas are mezcals, not all mezcals are tequilas.
Right.
And so you fall under that umbrella. So I would say just because of the rules behind tequila, it is going to be more, maybe not more difficult, but more stringent. You just have to make sure you follow the guidelines. Otherwise, you're making mezcal.
Right. Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, I like this drink too. When you first handed it to me in the green room, that's why I kind of did that double take, because I don't like smoky drinks generally, smoky cocktails. But this is so light and it totally fits the flavor profile. Like, this is a great cocktail. But if you normally said, oh hey, I'm gonna make you like when we've had people come in and make scotch drinks, I'm like, okay, what's gonna be in it? And then we had one time they were making a scotch cocktail and they were doing it as part of a competition. Mm-hmm. And the rule for the competition was that everything. So it was a chef/cocktail competition, and the theme was salt. So everything had to have salt. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now I'm going to get a smoky scotch drink that somehow has salt involved in the recipe, like specifically involved. Oh, man, yeah. And let me just say, it's not my favorite cocktail. But this is really, really good.
Yeah, the bitterness of the coffee kind of mellows out the smokiness of the mezcal. So it's a really nice blend.
Right. And so it's just cold-pressed coffee that's in here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, cold brew coffee.
Cold brew coffee? Okay.
Yeah. So basically just... As they told us, Dark Horse does a way better job of, at it than we would do. But basically, ground up coffee beans soaked in water in your refrigerator for 48 hours.
Let's let them sit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what you get.
Cool. Yeah. No, in fact, so little self plug, because in about 2 or 3 weeks we're about to release the new 619 vodka infusions, and one of them is coffee. And we went through probably, I don't know, I probably tried 10 different ways to do it, and most of it involved brewing the coffee and then trying to infuse it or do something. And finally I just went, you know what if I just put the coffee in the vodka and let it sit? And it tastes phenomenal. Like, that's the way to do it. So we were basically cold vodka brewing coffee.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn cool. I should have brought some of that in today. But and it's crazy too with the mezcal. Like, it's not, so it's, like I said, it's a single ingredient product, and that single ingredient takes, I don't know if it's the same way with all agave, but I know the blue agave takes like 18 years to grow. So, like, it's one of those things that's kind of crazy because there's such a boom. Like, I don't know how they keep up, because they have to plant a seed 18 years ago to know they're going to make agave or to know they're going to make tequila or mezcal this month,
Yeah, and so
it's kind of crazy.
That's one of the interesting things about mezcal, is because
that's probably why they're picking them up off the side of the road.
Exactly.
They're like,
One place to find them.
We ran out. Let's just go drive around.
Exactly.
Let's go drive around and see if we can find some wild plants out there. That's crazy.
No, exactly. That's kind of one of the interesting things, because they have such small farms for the mezcal, because you get a lot of these farmers that are off. They're not in the big, I guess, semi-factory that is the tequila world, down there. So they literally just will be growing it, and once they use it, they're like, all right, well, that's all we can make.
Right.
So even if you love it, it's just like, and it's usually a very small batch. So each year it's slightly different.
Right.
And so it's kind of an interesting mix with it.
Right. No, that's cool. I love small batch. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to segue into my Tito's story then, because I read this morning and I just about fell out of my chair. So I for some reason I thought I was telling you guys this story, but as a craft distiller, it drives me nuts that Tito's still says they're handmade vodka and all that stuff, because and so I don't know. I feel bad ragging on another brand, because it's a tough business and everyone, I'm going through it now or whatever. But when Tito's started, I used to go to Austin a lot, and I remember drinking them when he first launched the brand out there, and it was amazing vodka, really cool. And he had these, his thing was they had 9 copper stills, they made everything in, it was handcrafted, et cetera, et cetera. And then a few years, Tito's exploded and went nationwide and started, doing stuff everywhere, and all of their advertising still said, yeah, made in 9 copper stills, and I'm like, my butt, it's made in 9 copper stills. There's no way you can do it across the country. And then it turns out they're making it in Illinois, and they're contracting stuff everywhere. But the law says, because they're doing it in their main production facilities in Austin, all their bottles can say Austin on them, and that's all perfectly legal. But in the last 3 months, they've had 3 suits filed, and now somebody's trying to put it into a class action, saying, hey, we bought your vodka thinking it was handmade. We paid a premium price for it, and it turns out, no, it was made in some factory in the middle of nowhere. And they're finally getting their butts kicked for it.
Are you trying to tell us you're leading a class action?
No. But the funny part is there are 2 people from San Diego who are leading the class action. They're from SD, and I don't know who they are, but I want to find them and buy them a cocktail, because it drives me nuts that they quote it's handmade. It's like it's one of the biggest factory tequilas out there right now. Mm-hmm. But they're like, oh, we use pot stills and not column stills, so that kind of counts. It's like, no, you're still not touching the stuff by hand. It's all a big factory thing. Yeah, it's a more complicated process. But it's a more complicated process that machines do. Mm-hmm. It's still not a handmade. I'm sitting there in the distillery chopping up cucumbers to put in the vodka, and they're claiming, oh, we're handmade.
The machines were handmade, though.
The machines probably, I don't know. We're getting to the point where I think robots are making other robots. So. So who knows, man? All right, well, that's it. I got that. I wanted to rant about that because it's been driving me crazy for forever that, we're handmade vodka. All right, well, let's take another break, and then when we come back, I want to start drinking some beer, because I finished this cocktail, which was amazing, and I was going to have you make another one, but I want to try some of Dan's beer.
Yeah, we got some beer for you.
All right, sweet. So we'll take a break, and we'll come back. We're going to drink some Arcana beer and start talking brew.
Hey, Mr. Credit here. If you ever catch me at happy hour, you'll probably catch me drinking a vodka martini. I don't always drink vodka, but when I do, I drink 619 vodka, because it's local vodka from right here in San Diego. I know the owner, and you can meet him too. Go to 619vodka.com and think 619 vodka when you're out there having a good time. That's 619vodka.com. And of course, remember to always drink responsibly.
CS Keys here to tell you about San Diego's handcrafted ultra premium vodka, 619 Vodka. It's distilled and filtered 5 times, gluten-free, and made from 100% pure mountain spring water for a smooth, clean finish. It's a 2-time silver medal winner and a 2-time gold medal winner already in 2013. America's Finest City has America's Finest Vodka that everybody can experience. Just go to the website, 619vodka.com. If you know like I know, you better tell somebody.
As an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. So turn your mobile phone into a business phone system with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Make and receive business calls using our iPhone and Android apps. Get a new business number or keep your current one. Forward your calls to any phone and even get your voicemails transcribed. Join over 250,000 small businesses who stay connected with Grasshopper. See how it works at grasshopper.com, the entrepreneur's phone system.
This is John Feinstein with a CBS Sports Minute. The Baltimore Orioles are lucky that Chris Davis isn't leaving town. Then again, Davis is just as lucky to be returning to Baltimore. The two sides have apparently agreed to a 7-year deal with a lot of money deferred that will pay Davis about $161 million. This is about the same money that agent Scott Boras turned down a few weeks ago as if it was an insult. Boras, who often overvalues his clients and believes he can bully all general managers just because he's been able to bully some in the past, see Rizzo, Mike, Washington Nationals, seemed to think someone was going to throw $200 million at Davis. As valuable as Davis is to the Orioles, at least some of that value is tied to Homer, Haven, Camden Yards. So, both sides finally agreed they needed one another, and all's well that ends well. In spite of Boras, I'm John Feinstein.
This is Lori Grenier. You've seen me on Shark Tank hearing pitches from small businesses. Now, there is a new way for small businesses to get a loan in minutes. It's called Cabbage. That's Cabbage with a K. Just fill out the application online. You'll get an instant decision and could have access to a line of credit of up to $100,000. No waiting, no hassle. Cabbage is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and is a Forbes Top 100 company. Go to Cabbage.com, that's Cabbage with a K, Kabbage, or call 888-CABBAGE.
There are times being a genius would really come in handy.
This is Houston. Your oxygen levels will be depleted unless you put the valve modulator into the auxiliary gauge after you have calibrated the flexternal matrix, not the external matrix. Do not touch that one.
I'm just the cook. But thankfully, you don't need to be a genius to do your own taxes. Because with TurboTax, you can snap a photo of your W-2 with your smartphone, and it will automatically put your information into all the right forms. Intuit TurboTax. Taxes done smarter.
And now, back to Nicksology on ESPN 1700. Brought to you by 619 Vodka, who reminds you to always drink responsibly. Find out more at 619vodka.com.
All right, welcome back to Nicksology. We got Josh and I almost forgot your name, Shawn here from 33 Club. And, man, that was a great cocktail. But now I want to switch to some beer, man, and talk to Dan from Arcana Brewing. How you doing, Dan?
Doing great, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming out, man. So Arcana Brewing, I asked this of every brewery because I didn't realize this, but everyone knows the answer. What number were you?
We were number 73.
73. Wow, that's cool. You've been around a while then.
Yeah.
Okay, number 73. Do you know what the number is now?
It's north of
like 120.
Yeah. Somewhere around 110, 120.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It keeps going up every month.
Yeah.
Every week we have people coming in saying, hey, I'm about to open a brewery somewhere in Miramar.
I feel like everyone's always, I feel like everyone, well, so I live in North Park, which I think except for Vista is like brewery capital of the county right now. It's a good spot. Every time I go out of the house, I'm like, oh, look, there's another brewery. Oh, there's Fall Brewing. There's this one. There's that one. So cool. So what got you into the brewing game?
I started home brewing way back in the days of undergrad college. We figured that would be a cheaper, more fun, and nerdy way to get our alcohol.
Totally.
It's gotten a lot better since then.
Yeah. Well, and I used to home brew a lot too. I don't anymore. I need to get back into it, but yeah, cool. So, okay, well, let's get right to the point of the matter. What are we drinking? What is
right
this?
Now, we're drinking our Voyager English Ale. It's almost like an ESB, so you should get bready, toasty English malt notes in there, mild hops. Definitely a beer that as it warms up, it gets a little smoother, a little roastier.
I like that. That's really good. So do you guys have like a theme or a style to the beers you brew, or what's
Our beers definitely be more on the East Coast or the English ale style.
Okay.
We don't have 6.5 IPAs on tap at any one time.
Awesome. I live in SoCal. I love IPAs, but it just gets tiring.
But
it gets tiring. Yeah.
I've gone into so many bars and it's like, oh, it's 12 IPAs, 4 stouts, and a sour. Cool.
Right. No, and you don't see. I like ESBs. And you don't see a lot of those. So
yeah, we just wanted something to be approachable, easygoing. And it cracks me up every time we have people come in from the UK that'll they'll mention different beers from back home. They're like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of this beer that we could only get in whatever particular small town it was.
Right.
That's
right.
always
so. How did you end up leaning in that direction then? Like, how did you not get sucked into the IPA vortex that is Southern California?
I love IPAs.
Okay.
When Stone Ruin 10 came out, I bought way too many bottles of that.
Right.
It's so good. But I figured so many people can get that at every bar, every restaurant, every liquor store. Why not have a product line that is a little bit different and appeal to the folks that maybe are taking a break from IPAs?
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah, which is me every other week. Yeah, because I've joked about this on the show before. I'm sure you guys experienced this. There was a point where it was like a race to...
How bitter can we make it?
Right. It was like, let's forget barley, forget anything else. Let's just make a beer completely out of hops.
Yeah, it's sort of a green, syrupy, carbonated.
At 12%.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. No, it just it got too... I mean, I love IPAs, but it just got, doubles, triples, quadruples. It just got to be too crazy. So that's cool. Man. The alcohol's kicking in.
Only about 40 IBUs. Figured you were going somewhere around there.
Right. So, but how does that making that style of beer? Wow, this show's amazing today. How does making that style of beer sort of, like, what's different about it? I mean, obviously, you're using different yeasts and different hops and things like that, right?
Yeah, we tailor most of the yeasts that we use are not. Well, let me back up. We use primarily English ale yeast strains. Okay. A lot of what you'll find in California West Coast style beers would be, say, California ale yeast.
Okay.
Those style beers ferment dry. They break down the malt character more, and they leave more of that bitter hop character present. Whereas English ale yeast, they do the opposite. They'll break down more of the hop flavor profile and leave more of the malt character present.
Okay.
And we also stock kind of a heavier base malt that gives it a fuller taste, even on a light beer that we brew, versus if you brewed it with a more West Coast style production.
Okay, and so tell me a little bit more about that. What does that mean, like a heavier base malt? I mean...
So a lot of folks will use 2-row or 6-row malt as it's a low color, mellow flavor. It's where you get most of your sugars, most of your enzymes that break those starches down into delicious fermentable sugars.
Right.
Whereas when you go with a heavier malt, it's going to be a little bit darker in flavor. You're going to have slightly more of the starches caramelized, so you won't get quite as dry of a finish on the beer.
Okay.
So a lot of people taste our beers and will comment that, oh, that's sweeter than a lot of what we taste in San Diego.
Right.
And it's just because of that subtle residual sugar and caramelized character that comes through from the malts.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, no, and so, I mean, like I said, I actually like that English style of ale, and I didn't really know there was anyone making it, so I'm pleasantly surprised at this, because I'm trying to think of the name of the ESB that I used to really love, and it's not coming to me right now, but they're just generally hard to find here. Are they any more complex to make? Are they, does it require, I mean, I ask because, we have different breweries on. Well, no, because we have guys that are doing like sours, and that's obviously a lot more complicated process and things like that.
Yeah, a sour would definitely be more complicated than an ESB.
Right.
We don't have to do the extended microbe aging that you require to convert the sugars and acids that you would with a sour.
Okay.
We don't have to go through any extensive dry hopping process that you would with, say, a double or a triple dry hopped IPA.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a straightforward beer, but because the flavors are more subtle, you have to make sure that your processes are consistent, everything's clean, because you don't have a lot of those other more aggressive flavor profiles that would mask anything that we may have screwed up on.
Right. Okay. And a lot of other breweries are constantly, trying to, I don't know if experiment's the right word, but they're always trying to make this beer and that beer and different beers, and they don't, they have their few standards obviously, but they're also kind of. Are you guys able to do that within this category too, or?
A little bit. We will barrel age this.
Okay.
A couple times a year, we'll buy in new bourbon barrels. We're a 3.5 barrel system, so we're very small.
Very small. Right.
even by craft brew standards, we are very petite. So when we do a production run, if we have 2 barrels, that's the entire production run. And so we'll do, say, a barley wine that we know we're going to sit on for 6 months to a year, aging, maturing. And then when we pull that barley wine out and keg it up, those barrels still have a lot of residual flavor. And so we'll take something that's a little more subtle, like, say, this ESB or maybe a brown or something else, and we will transfer it into those freshly emptied bourbon barrels. And we'll leave it in there. And so that's part of our rotating barrel program so we'll have our base version, then we'll do a barrel version of it. Sometimes we'll soup it up with coffee. Cold press, definitely the way to go.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right, so now I'm going to put you on the spot and make you speak for all brewers. Well, no, just because. No, I'm just joking, but just because I don't really know. So this whole barrel aging of beer thing, that's a fairly new thing, right? Is it? I mean, I guess
in the U.S., more so.
Okay, but it's not other places.
No, UK, continental Europe. It's been around forever. I mean, it's how beer got started. I mean,
even with the major brands.
Well, the major brands, they all have their stainless tanks.
Okay.
Their humongous factory brewing facilities.
I mean, I'm saying like the major European brands and stuff too. Are they barrel aging?
Now, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
But as far as the origins of beer go, I mean, if you're going to get a Belgian beer or if you're going to get some sort of artisan English ale, it's a pretty solid chance that those would pass through oak at some time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. See, I didn't. Okay, that's something I didn't know then. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. But then, my other curiosity then is when you're brewing a beer and you've done it before and you can kind of control the process, what you're going to get. When you're introducing something like a barrel, when you're doing things like whiskey and whatnot in barrels, they're doing so many of them that they blend them back together and they can say this barrel didn't turn out so great and just not use it or whatever. But when you're doing it with beer, you're adding a little more, I guess maybe the word is risk to the process, right?
Definitely.
And so how do you manage that? I mean, how do you is it just trial and error? Like, hey, we try it, it didn't work out, or
the OCD helps.
Choosing which barrels and gotcha, okay.
Yeah. We when we get our barrels, we inspect each barrel. I'm sure it's pretty close if you're a bigger facility buying 100 or 200 barrels at a time.
Right.
But as a smaller facility, when we're buying 2, 4, 6 barrels at a time, we'll break out the ultra high power LED flashlight. We'll pull the bung out, check everything in there, make sure there are no cracks, no mold spots, make sure the barrel smells good.
So are you doing mostly whiskey barrels, old whiskey barrels, or bourbon, or
primarily bourbon barrels?
Okay.
Last year we managed to score some Chardonnay white oak barrels. Those were phenomenal.
Okay.
Right now we have those as part of a sour project we're looking to break out this spring, summer.
Okay. Yeah. See that, but that always, I guess. So, like, to me, it's like, okay, well, I mean, which is obviously why I'm not in your business. But I sit there and I go, I can't, it would be hard for me to say, okay, I have these great Chardonnay barrels. I'm going to brew this kind of beer because that'll work out great aging in the Chardonnay barrels. I mean,
but you have them this year and you might never be able to get them again.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But how do you know what you're going to put in them? I mean, it's like, okay, well, you're not going to brew an IPA and put it in there.
No.
Right. So, what's the process that goes into thinking, okay, I've got these Chardonnay barrels. This flavor would go well once aged in that barrel.
There's a certain amount of mixology that's involved with it.
So mostly, like I said, just experience and knowing and...
Yeah, I'll talk to friends. We'll have a drinking and eating night, and I'll tell them it's like, we're thinking about doing these kind of beers. We want to potentially spice them with this or use these kind of fruits, and we'll just get together and combine a bunch of stuff and see what works. Some flavor combinations do not. Some, like a tart apple cider ale aged in Chardonnay white oak barrels, is out of this world. But doing the same thing with coffee beans would have been terrible, or even with extra dry hops. It just didn't work the same way.
Right. Okay.
So I'm kind of curious. What do you do when it doesn't work? Pawn it off on friends.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Is like, hey, by the way, if you need to get rid of extra beer, I'm going to steal more beer. By the way.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what I was driving at. Like at some point, you're going to do something and it's going to be like, oh, that really didn't work out at all.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. Every now and then, we'll have a barrel that something got in there. It's a sad day.
Right. Very sad.
It is. I know. It's just like, oh my God, so much beer. I slaved over you for months, and this is what you do.
Right.
No, but when that happens, kind of like everything in the alcohol industry, we have to do these lengthy pieces of paperwork saying, oh, this is bad. This is how much it is. This is where we're sending it.
Right. Yeah, it's almost
we're not
like,
selling it. It's garbage.
Yeah.
We're putting it to a good use. Somebody will distill it or use it for...
Well, that's the other cool thing you can sort of do. We had a I don't know if you were familiar with them, but Cal Coast Mead.
Mm-hmm.
They're up in Carlsbad, Oceanside, somewhere up there. And we had them on
Golden
the show.
Coast?
Golden Coast.
Golden
sorry.
Coast.
Golden Coast Mead. And we had them on the show, and first of all, their meads were amazing. Because up until then, my experience with mead
Oh, you'll
was,
like this. We brought you a braggot.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Because my experience with mead up until then, and I said this on the show, was like, it's that syrupy stuff you drink at a Renaissance fair, right? I'm like, that's what mead in my head was. So we had them on the show. They started pouring stuff, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then to find out it was like 12.2%.
Yeah.
Also, I'm like, wow, this is my new favorite kind of drink. But they said too that they sometimes get off batches that don't work, and they were like, hey, would you like to distill that? And I'm like, hell yeah, I would. Like if the next time you come up with a messed up batch, bring it to me, because I would love to distill straight from honey.
Yeah, you give me
awesome.
a call when Mead Shine is on the show, and I will be right outside.
Okay. Awesome.
You ready for me to break out the next batch?
Yeah, I'll finish this one. We'll pour the other one. But you piqued my... Go ahead and go ahead and grab it. But you piqued my interest with something else you said. Because I have a feeling like the hardcore IPA craze, I feel like this is going to be my next pet peeve, is this... And not to say that I haven't had good ones, but this whole sour thing.
Ah.
In fact, we had... I forget which brewery it was on the show. And he basically said, these sour beers is basically, we spent so much time learning how not to have this kind of thing happen to our beers. And now everyone's trying to have this happen to our beers, right? We're trying to get them good to go sour and get this microbe in there and that microbe. I don't get it. You guys like sour beers? Have you tried this sour thing?
Not a fan of it, no.
Yeah.
To be
Too
totally honest,
funky.
I mean, I think there's some out there that probably have the flavor profiles, but they've scared me, the ones I've tried, so it's like, it's not there.
Well, yeah. A little vodka in the bottom won't hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not
We'll make
getting
that
the
a double.
sour thing. So, but you guys are working on some sours?
Yeah, we have a Berliner Weiss aging in those Chardonnay white oak barrels. When we pulled the apple ale out last year, we had done our first Berliner Weiss. We did some kettle souring, and it wasn't quite where we wanted it. So we mixed up a fresh, really concentrated batch of wort, blended it in, and so that gives the sour microbes some fresh food to eat. And then we transferred it into the barrels, pushed the barrels back against the sidewall under the racking, and we're trying not to test them every other week.
Gotcha. Well, so, yeah, I don't know. So what is it with the sour thing? I feel like, I know there are some, there's a lot of Belgian beers that use wild yeast and things like that end up with kind of a sour profile. But I feel like, kind of like the IPA thing, I feel like this is where people are like, hey, let's try and take this to the extreme and make pucker beer. Because the few tastes that I've had have been like, wow, I don't see the point of this at all.
Yeah, like anything, there's a continuum. You've got your tart fruit sours, you have your sour barrel-aged oaky ones, you have your steel-aged sours. You've got 2 or 3 different kinds of microbes that will each contribute a different type of sour character to a beer. But if that's not your flavor, it's not going to be your flavor.
Because you're basically kind of trying to spoil the beer just in a controlled way, right?
You are, yeah. There are a few ways you can do it. Some places will do, we call it a Brett fermentation. You take a Brettanomyces strain, which is known for making sour horse blankety flavors and tastes, which everybody wants in their beer, right?
See, that just doesn't sound appealing to me at all. It doesn't sound yummy in the slightest.
Oh, there's this great shirt that's got Brett, and it's a horse wearing a blanket, and it's for a beer shirt.
It's usually what I want in my beer first run.
Yeah, dude, yeah, no, totally.
It's 12:01 in the afternoon, crack that horse blanket open. Next show.
Yeah.
But, depending on how you do it, some of them can be cleaner, more funky, sour, sweeter. There's a big continuum. I enjoy sours every now and then. I tend to be more towards the fruit sours, like the peach sour, apricot sour kind of beer.
Yeah, we had Toolbox Brewing on. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do.
They're just down the road.
Because they're all fruity sours. And I'll admit, there's some of theirs I thought were good. Some just didn't. Like they had something that was with grapefruit, and that was really good because that to me lends itself to being a little bit more sour. The crazy part about them is that, I'm guessing you know this, but it blew me away. Is I think I told you guys this, right? They're running out and actually trying to collect wild yeast to make. It wasn't you guys?
No, it was us.
I have so many conversations, but they were running out. He's actually going out and trying to cultivate strains of wild local Southern California yeast to use to do the stuff in the beer.
Yeah, it's definitely a beer nerd thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally.
Belgium's been doing it since forever ago, but the U.S. we don't have that culture, that provenance to our terroir here in the San Diego Northlands.
Well, but I mean, because the cool part, because I don't drink them as much as I used to, but I used to be a huge fan of lambics. And drank them for a really long time before I realized that the way they ferment those beers is that they make the beer and then they just put it out in a giant, like, tub's the wrong word, but they just leave it out in the open. And then they just let it ferment. I mean, it just literally, it's open to the air, and then the wild yeast come in and whatever. And to me, that's a perfectly good way to ruin a beer, but they make some amazing beers out of it, you know. So I don't know how they control, exactly what good yeast get in or not. Or I think it's very regional, right? It's very specific. They have to make them in some little valley or whatever.
If you did that same process somewhere else, you wouldn't have the local wild yeast and bacteria blowing in off the fields at night on the breeze.
Right.
If you tried to do it somewhere like just outside New York City, you're going to get a whole lot of other
nice smoggy flavor.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And give you a little of that diesel exhaust in there.
Exactly.
Too funny. All right, so I didn't get a chance to ask you about this, but we have to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk more about this beer, and then we'll wrap up the show. I have some cool announcements for 6 coming up with 619, and we'll talk more about your event, too. We'll be right back right after this.
You're listening to Nicksology on ESPN 1700, brought to you by 619 Vodka, who reminds you to always drink responsibly. Find out more at 619vodka.com.
Hey, Mr. Credit here. If you ever catch me at happy hour, you'll probably catch me drinking a vodka martini. I don't always drink vodka, but when I do, I drink 619 vodka because it's local vodka from right here in San Diego. I know the owner, and you can meet him too. Go to 619vodka.com and think 619 vodka when you're out there having a good time. That's 619vodka.com. And of course, remember to always drink responsibly.
CS Keys here to tell you about San Diego's handcrafted ultra premium vodka, 619 Vodka. It's distilled and filtered 5 times, gluten-free, and made from 100% pure mountain spring water for a smooth, clean finish. It's a 2-time silver medal winner and a 2-time gold medal winner already in 2013. America's Finest City has America's Finest Vodka that everybody can experience. Just go to the website, 619vodka.com. If you know like I know, you better tell somebody.
Go to Fuller Honda. They are there to help make your Honda dream a reality by bringing you an excellent selection of new and used Honda vehicles and great service to enhance your ownership experience. Their friendly, experienced staff will be happy to respond to any questions you may have about sales, service, or parts. Fuller Honda has the whole lineup, from the Accord to the Civic to the CR-V to the all-new Pilot. They have the right vehicle for your family. Best of all, this new Honda lineup features some of the best fuel economy on the market, along with contemporary styling at affordable prices. Stop into Fuller Honda today, and they will exceed your expectations from test drive to delivery. Their professional sales team is committed to a no-pressure, high-integrity approach to your ownership experience. Think Fuller Honda. Great prices, great selections, and great deals, where they've treated you like family for over 60 years. Auto Park Drive off the 805 in the Chula Vista Auto Park.
The Build a Better Kitchen and Bath event is on now at the Home Depot, and you can get a 4-inch brushed nickel Moen Darcy faucet for the new lower price of $79. So let's do a bathroom refresh. This faucet has clean lines and a clean finish, thanks to its special spot resist technology. So you save more on a faucet you'll clean less. Let's do this with 4-inch Moen Darcy faucets for just $79. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only, valid through March 26th.
I'm all about keeping it simple. Been getting the same haircut from the same guy for 20 years. You can't beat simple. That's why the first place I turn to when I need something is Grainger. I don't want one place for my safety products and another for my abrasives. Grainger has over 1.2 million products and the solutions I need to help keep this place running. Grainger. Simple. Simple. Grainger. Get it? Got it? Good. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger. For the ones who get it done.
I'm Lex Friedman. I run my own business, so I know from experience hiring new employees can be tough. With so many job boards out there, you need to post your job on all the top job sites to find the best candidates. Now, with ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites and social networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. That's ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN.
And now, back to Nicksology on ESPN 1700. Brought to you by 619 Vodka, who reminds you to always drink responsibly. Find out more at 619vodka.com.
Pour them up. We only got 5 minutes.
Just low.
Pour it as fast as I can.
Welcome back to Nicksology. Man, we got Josh and Shawn from 33 Club and Dan from Arcana Brewing, and we're trying to we kind of lag, so we're trying to get through the last few beers here. All right, so Dan, you were saying that this is an IPA I'm drinking.
Yeah, we brought in our Headbasher IPA.
I took like a few sips, and I mean, it's awesome because it didn't hit me as an IPA when I started drinking it.
Yeah, we brew it so that you get more of the aromatic, more of the flavor character of the hops, as opposed to that tongue-curling bite at the back that you get with a lot of West Coast IPAs.
It's awesome. And then the guys are drinking a Saison, right?
Yeah.
Delicious.
Okay.
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I was
Nice.
telling them to actually smell it because the aromas coming off the top are just...
Oh, really?
I mean, amazing, yeah.
Nice. And then what's the fourth one you were talking about?
The fourth one
You
we
said
brought...
I like it because I was mentioning the mead people, right?
Yeah. If you like the meads from Golden Coast, we do braggots every now and then at the brewery. So a braggot is a hybrid beer mead type of beverage.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, so
I didn't know this
depending on how you brew
existed.
it.
Here, put some in
Oh,
there.
yeah. So stop talking, pour beer.
So I like beer and I like mead. This can't really go wrong. Well, I mean, it could, I guess, but
no,
if it does,
you'll
I'll
be good.
lie.
I was just about to ask that.
Oh, man.
I poured you a little bit fuller
So
one
it's
so you
called
can
a
look at the
braggot.
color.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so are they made separately and blended together?
They're
How does that
not.
work?
California requires that you ferment them together. If you ferment just the honey, then you would be falling under a wine permit. And if I did that as a brewery, they could ding me pretty bad on that.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Just-
I know.
Oh,
I don't
man.
make the rules.
Well,
They're
no, and then I mean, so just to because I rant when we had there's some people trying to open sake breweries in here, and they're running into all kinds of problems because California's like,
we don't know what we call that.
It's not a brewery, it's not a winery, we don't know what it is, and yeah,
you want
it's
to
just
give us
kinda
sales
crazy.
revenue? What?
Yeah. So, okay, so you couldn't even have you couldn't even have somebody else like ferment the mead and then give it to you and blend it in?
Correct. Yeah. As a brewery, we're considered a small beer manufacturer.
What a mess.
And as beer, it has to have malt and hops in it. So what you're drinking now...
that tastes amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
So aside from the... we got to rush up here. So aside from the... Did you try this yet? You got to try this.
You guys want to get on this?
We'll get some lunch after, but you got to try this.
It's a pomegranate passion fruit braggot mead.
Oh, man, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So
when
good.
you have trouble sitting, it's not a good thing.
Right. All right, so we only have a few minutes left, so tell people where they can find you and when and all that good stuff.
Nice. Our brewery and tasting room, we're located up in Carlsbad. We're at 5621 Palmer Way. We're right off of El Camino and Faraday. So if you can find the huge Time Warner building just up the hill from the airport, you're almost there.
Oh, cool. And you guys right now, you're only open Thursday through Sunday? Is that right?
Yep. Right now we do Thursday, Friday afternoons and Saturday and Sunday afternoon and evenings. But starting February, we're going to actually take on Wednesdays. So looking forward to that.
All right.
Moving up.
Cool. All right, so we have 2 minutes left. I just want to quickly, so I don't forget to get it in, some cool announcements for 619. We're launching our infusions in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to actually have a big, it's going to be kind of cool. We're going to do our first live remote show. So we're going to do a show live from the Brew Project in Hillcrest. We'll have all the new 619 infusions. There'll be drink specials all day long, so you can actually come out live and in person and watch me screw up the show there on site. It's going to be awesome, and try our cool new vodkas. And then another announcement that I can't actually make, but we're going to be part of a really cool event coming up in April. I wish I could say more. It's going to be in Southern California. Yeah, no, I can't say more. I'm going to get in trouble. So anyway, but next week. I'll have that announcement next week. And then to recap for you guys, the 33 Club, you guys are going to be at what's the taco? We're
going to be at Galaxy Taco.
Galaxy Taco.
On the
I love that
31st
name,
of
by the
this
way.
month.
It's just kind of a cool name. Okay, Galaxy
Absolutely
Taco.
cool. Yep.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Sunday. So it's going to be a brunch event. So
cool.
Come down and enjoy your Sunday. And basically, we'll have a free mezcal tasting if you come down. And El Silencio and
El Silencio is going to be down there
Yep.
and pouring and stuff. Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah,
More
we can get them
information on
the
our
show, too.
website. It's 30 spelled out, then the number 3 club, one word, .com.
All right, yeah, and we'll post the drink of the week. Dan, you send me your info too. We'll post it all up on the website. We'll have all that stuff ready to go. Did you guys try this? I'm gonna call it a mead because braggot. There you go. See, I need notes in front of me. I'm really not good at this. So wait, you said it's a
beer mead hybrid.
Right, but what's the beer part? What's the beer side in there?
The beer part is it's an imperial blonde ale. So we brew it to be strong but low flavor, low bitterness, so that you really get the honey character and the passion fruit.
It tastes mostly like
character.
a mead to me, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I can just
some places brew it and taste like beer. We figured we're a brewery. You can get 14 other beers. Why
Right.
not have something that tastes like mead?
Sweet. All right. Awesome.
Nice.
That's it, guys. We're out of time.
Thanks,
ran
Nick.
long.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. Like I said, I'll post everything up later. And Happy New Year. And we'll see you next week here on ESPN Radio.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for listening to Nicksology on ESPN 1700, hosted by Nick Apostolopoulos. Nick is the owner of 619 Vodka. Find out more about this locally owned vodka at 619vodka.com.